We've got injury report news, a practice squad signing, and already did we figure out our offensive line injury plan for the Seattle Seahawks. It's Seahawks Today. I'm your host, Will Ortner, and I need your help. We're trying to grow this channel to the moon. We need more and more 12s to join us here, and the only way to do that is by subscribing. Right now, we are at 69,430 subscribers. I want to get all the way to 69,500 subscribers. The only way to do that is for you not only to subscribe to this video if you haven't done so, shame on you. I also need you to share this video out with your friends so that they can come in and join the crew and help grow our show. Now, I want to start off with the injury updates. No official word has been released. In fact, Mike Macdonald kind of giggled when he went into media and said, I am not going to release an injury report until I have to. But based on some of the things that we are starting to see out at practice, we can gather some intel here at Seahawks Today about which players are going to be more likely than not to suit up that are on the injury report already. You can see from different videos that have been put out on social media that players like Jake Bobo and Tory Horton, they were in uniform and moving around at practice. Brady Henderson had this tweet that he put out over on X, and it goes through basically saying Mike Macdonald, he's playing it close to the vest on the injury report. That makes sense. You see a lot of defensive coaches. I mean, think of Bill Belichick in the college football landscape. Dan Lanning does this. You see it all over the NFL as well, where coaches don't want to give away information that they don't have to. And so Macdonald didn't go into his press conference and say, hey, this player's going for sure, this player isn't going, we're at a limited rate here at this point. But we could see out on the field that Jake Bobo, Tory Horton, they were returning punts, they were warming up, just like Henderson said. Tyrese Knight, a key cog on your defense at that weak side linebacker position, or will linebacker position, whatever you prefer to call it. He was out moving around, warming up, and I think this is a huge piece of information that we can use to kind of assume or project forward who we think is going to play on Sunday against the 49ers. Now, if you don't remember, Jake Bobo suffered a concussion on that punt return where he ended up running into the back of another player on the Seahawks. He was down for a while against the Packers in that preseason Week 3 game. It does look like if he's moving around that he feels better after the concussion. Concussions can be weird injuries. Now, I'm not a doctor. Sometimes I pretend to be one on X or confuse people for one on X. Don't take any of my medical advice. But when it comes to concussions, it really is a case-by-case basis. It just depends on how the brain heals based off of the hit. Looks like Jake Bobo's brain, or at least looks like Jake Bobo, is on track to continue forward. When it comes to Tory Horton, obviously he had that ankle injury against the Kansas City Chiefs. He's still working his way back from that one. Looks like he was a limited participant in practice. He was moving towards being a full participant from what Mike Macdonald was saying. By the end of the week, that could be a good sign that he's going to be ready to go as your wide receiver number 3. Now, Tyrese Knight, obviously we didn't see him at all during training camp, dealing with a knee injury and another undisclosed medical injury or issue, I should say. He looks like he's on track as well, running through the warm-ups. Now, what does this mean on an official capacity? Nothing is official. So it means, frankly, nothing. We're just kind of assuming. But sometimes if we use our brains and we're pretty smart, we can put ourselves in a position to get this right. And I think when we are going through, our injury report before the official release, you kind of have to do a guess and check, a prediction method, if you will. A hypothesis, if you want to go down the scientific method. And I hypothesize that we are going to see all 3 players, Bobo, Horton, and Knight, play on Sunday against the 49ers. And that is good news for your Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to get into the Uchenna Nuosu injury and how he's trying to work his way back from that injury and his knee surgery in the offseason. But first, today's video is sponsored by the great HOF app. It's our first sponsorship here since I've taken over Seahawks Today, and we have a great deal for our listeners. Go and not only get a free 7-day trial, you're also going to get 50% off your first month on the app. Just download the HOF app and use the code CHAT at checkout. Now, you know me, 12s, I love to gamble on sports, responsibly, of course, but I'm not the best math guy, shout out Miss Kretz. When I'm gambling, I'm always looking for an edge, and the HOF app gives me that edge. Sometimes I need help when I'm in the lab crafting up my bets, especially my parlays. I like to use the HOF app to find the historical data and trends that I've been searching for to give myself the best chance to hit on my bets and parlays. We all have that one friend, let's call them Steve, who constantly complains about losing a 4-leg parlay on the very last leg. The HOF app can help Steve and you not experience that issue. The HOF app crunches millions of data points in seconds to help guide you on whatever bet you want to place. The app is super easy to use. Now, I don't have to rely on just my gut when I'm making my bets. I can use math and analytics created by Ivy League sports geeks to bet smarter, not harder. For a limited time only, our listeners not only get a 7-day free trial, but they also get 50% off their first month when they use code CHAT at checkout. Just download the HOF app on iOS or Android and enter code CHAT, and you're all set. You don't want to miss out. All right, Uchenna Nuosu participated in practice on Monday. The issue is the participation style that he had when it came to practice. Now, for those of you who do not remember, Uchenna Nuosu was on the PUP list for most of the preseason. He only officially came off of that somewhere in between the Kansas City Chiefs game and the Green Bay Packers game as he's working his way back from that knee injury that he had cleaned up in surgery in the offseason. Now, again, Brady Henderson had this tweet that came out. He was warming up with a trainer. In the video that Henderson put out later, you can see that Nuosu is basically, he's going through a sled drag, right? He's got the weight behind him. He's got the strap in. He's going. He's kind of marching, doing one of these numbers as he's going down the field. That's a great sign. It means that Uchenna Nuosu is working towards being back on the field. It's a great sign because it means they made the right decision, the Seahawks, to take him off the PUP list because now you can use him when you need him. It means he's going to be back before that Week 4 game against the Cardinals. Here's the problem. We're not clear if he's going to be able to go out and play against the 49ers on Sunday. Just because you're able to do a little bit of marching with some weight on your back doesn't mean you're going to be good to go. I personally have gotten to the point where I don't think that Nuosu is going to be able to play against the 49ers on Sunday. Is that the end of the world? No, it's not. It just means you don't have quite the depth that you were hoping to have. Good thing you kept Jared Ivey. Good thing that you have seen some growth out of Derek Hall and Boye Mafe. You're going to have a tighter rotation now at that outside linebacker spot. That doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Ideally, Nuosu will be able to get back. Maybe he gets back week 2. Maybe he gets back week 3. But right now, again, I'm using the scientific method. I did not see him in full pads. I did not see him running around in a limited participation way, the same way that Jake Bobo, Tory Horton were running around. My eyes, that doesn't make me hopeful for him being ready to go for Sunday. Now, I want you to kind of give it a scale. Rank it. How big of a loss would Uchenna Nuosu be for the Seahawks if he's unable to go against your rival, the San Francisco 49ers? Scale from 1 to 12. See what I did there? I'm going to give it right now probably a 7. You've gone most of last year without Nuosu, and you saw some growth in Mafe and Hall, and there's a reason why you brought in DeMarcus Lawrence. You're still going to miss Nuosu. He's a veteran presence who is a skill player and can go out and play at a high level on the field. He will be missed, whether he is able to go next week or if it takes him even more time and he's not ready to go until week 2, week 3, week 4. Now, there was a practice signing over the weekend. The Seahawks ended up signing DeAnthony Bell. He was a safety that spent a lot of time with you in the preseason. He was one of those guys who was on the initial 53-man roster. And then when Seattle signed linebacker Chaz Surratt, they did have to waive someone. And so Bell went the entire weekend without signing to a team. The belief was that Seattle was going to bring him back. And I like that they brought him back, one, because he's a D2 legend such as myself, or at least I'm going to claim that I'm a D2 legend. but he's a quality piece that adds to your team in a special teams role. He spent multiple seasons with the Cleveland Browns. He's got 50 games played under his belt. He flies around. He's not afraid to make plays. He's a player that you can bring up quickly if you have injury issues at that safety position. If you have injury issues at that nickel position, that dime package, maybe Bell's a player that you bring up. If you're having issues on special teams like kickoff, kick return, punt return, Bell's an easy plug-and-play guy. Keep guys like that close to your roster. The NFL, it's a war of attrition. Guys get hurt all the time. You need guys like Bell to stick around so that you can easily plug them in to play if you need them. I think that this is the perfect spot for him to be in. Speaking of a next man up type of a situation, we're going into the Seattle Seahawks offensive line. Mike Macdonald, normally pretty tight-lipped. We already went through it with the injury report. He kind of shed some light on who the sixth offensive lineman would be. Now, you might be looking at yourself going, Will, there's actually 5 offensive linemen. There's 2 tackles, there's 2 guards, and there's a center. Well, guess what? You need someone to come in and fill in if there is an injury. And right now, according to head coach Mike Macdonald, it does look like Olu Oluwatimi would be that 6th offensive lineman if there was an injury in the interior. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that Jalen Sundell would have to be the one that was injured for Oluwatimi to come in. It could be an injury to Bradford or Zabel, and what they would do is they'd bring in Oluwatimi, and Sundell would bounce over to one of those guard spots. To me, that means 2 things. 1, Jalen Sundell has clearly earned the trust of that entire coaching staff that you can play him wherever you need to play him. To have a utility interior offensive lineman like that is rare to come by in the NFL. And when you have one that plays center but could then move out to guard is key, because not only is Sundell used to being the one making the line calls for the Seahawks, he's also going to be able to keep up that chemistry that he's already built up with his guards. Also, it shows you that Oluwatimi didn't lose this job from lack of performance. It could be because he was dealing with the injuries with his back. It could be because Jalen Sundell played so well. It could be probably, in my eyes, a combination of the 2 melding together. But what I see when it comes to this offensive line is you know where to go when you know what hits the fan. Because at some point, you know what's going to hit the fan, and you're going to have to be able to adjust on the fly. Now, if there's an injury to one of the tackles, Cross or Lucas, my assumption would be that Jones would come in. I guess I should say my hypothesis would be that Jones would come in there. You'd keep the interior 3 the same. I like Olu Oluwatimi being that 6th offensive lineman, though. He's shown that he's big, he's strong, and he's physical. And you don't lose some of that athleticism that Sundell gives you at the center spot, because he would ideally move to one of those guards. Ideally, Sundell would not be the one that gets injured. I want to make sure that I hammer this home. We are so close to being at 69,500. Help us. Let me go to the bosses and say we need to have more deals on Seahawks Today, because it's a bigger channel. The only way to allow me to do this is to help continue to grow the channel and make sure that you subscribe. Until next time, I'll see you later.